Making a drawing in 1-point perspective. First, take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of computer paper, make it into an 8.5 by 8.5 square. You can do that by marking the bottom, mark the top, and draw a line, and then cut it. If you have a triangle, it's even easier. You make one mark and then draw your line, and then cut it so it will be an 8.5 by 8.5 square. Next, we're going to go from this corner up to this corner and make an X, or a line, a diagonal line. And then this corner to this corner and make a diagonal line. Make sure you go all the way to the corner. This in the middle will be our vanishing point for 1-point perspective. The next step, we're going to measure down from this edge 2.5 inches, from the left side 2.5 inches, from the bottom 2.5 inches, and from the right 2.5 inches. If you have a triangle, it makes it easier to finish this part, or you can use a square piece of paper. You can lay the paper against the bottom edge of your paper. Make sure it lines up perpendicular from there to the tick mark that you drew. You are going to draw a vertical line from this diagonal line to this diagonal line. And again, this works a little better if you have a triangle, but it will work with a piece of paper. Then flip your triangle over, or move your paper over. Make sure you are lining up with the bottom of your paper and the tick mark that you drew. Draw between the two diagonal lines. Just stop at this diagonal and this diagonal. We will repeat that process for the top and the bottom. Make sure it lines up with your paper and your tick mark. Draw between the diagonals. Make sure it lines up with your paper and this tick mark. Now you have a square, and it should meet at the corners, or at least very close. If it doesn't, you have done something wrong. You'll need to repeat the process. You can pause this video at any time and follow along. Next, you're going to go in 1 inch. Here's the 0 mark on my ruler. Here's the 1 inch mark on my ruler. I'll make a tick mark. You notice the tick mark goes in the same direction as the lines of the ruler. Do not go up and down, because you won't get an accurate measurement. Make a tick mark there. 1 on the left. 1 on the right. These are all at 1 inch from that line to this line, 1 inch. Once you have made your tick marks, you will repeat the process, making sure you keep your triangle lined up with the base of your paper. If it is not perpendicular, you will not get a good square. We want to make sure we get perpendicular lines. Here I'm lining up with the side of my paper. I have taped my paper down so it won't move as I do the drawing. Need to move that up a little bit. We're going from diagonal line to diagonal line. line it up with the top of your paper and your tick mark at the 1 inch, and diagonal line to diagonal line. Repeat for the bottom. Again, if you need to pause the video to stay caught up, that is fine. Now we have vanishing point, a square, and then a concentric square a little bit larger. Now we are going to make 2 boxes in this plane right here. Pretend like this is the inside of a room and this is the floor. We're going to start by making a box down here on this side. It does not really matter how wide you make the box. This will end up being a chair. So I'm going to make sure that my triangle or paper is lined up with this piece of paper. I'm going to start at the diagonal line and have it come out. Let's see, this one will be, we'll make it stop at 1 inch. So make an inch line. Then we're going to make it 2 inches tall. So we'll start right there at the diagonal again, go up 2 inches, make a mark. I'm going to keep my triangle even with the bottom of the paper. Line it up to that first line that I drew, and I'm going to go up to the 2 inch mark. And I'll move it over 1 inch. And yours doesn't have to be exactly 1 inch. This is just, I'm giving you the guidelines for, or the measurements for what I do for mine. Now, if you start running out of space to line up your triangle, you can flip your triangle over so you have a longer edge to measure to make sure that it's perpendicular to the paper. Line it up with the tick mark and join it. We're going to put a horizontal rectangle over here, and this one we will make, let's go with 3 inches. So I'm going to put my ruler right at 3 inches, come over here and make a tick mark. Use my triangle, line it up with this side of the paper and the tick mark. Sometimes I use my pencil to get it to line up. Just make sure that it stays perpendicular. Make a line that goes to the diagonal line. We will make it, let's go with 1.5 inches tall. So 1.5 inches tall. Use my triangle. Keep it lined up with this edge perpendicular. Make a vertical line. Come across. Actually, it'd probably be easier if I make this vertical line as well. Keep it perpendicular at the bottom of the paper. And then I'll go this way. Keep the triangle perpendicular on the side of the paper. All right, so now we have boxes, and we're going to make them boxes in 1 point perspective. This will serve as our vanishing point. This box, we won't use this corner. We won't actually be able to see this line because it would go through the box. So I'm going to erase that one so it doesn't get confusing. I'm going to line up to the vanishing point and the top left corner. A lot of times I will put the pencil on the vanishing point, push the triangle or ruler up to it, and make sure that it matches that one to this one. And we will go to the vanishing point from that corner. I'll keep that pencil mark on the vanishing point, move it to the next corner. This makes it go quicker. Keep it on the vanishing point, go to the next one. And we have a box in 1-point perspective, but we haven't established the depth. So I'm gonna pick a spot, maybe about an inch. Let's see what it ends up being. Yeah, that's about an inch. We'll go ahead and go with an inch. Make another perpendicular line to establish the depth of this box, how deep it is. We have the height, the width, and now we have the depth. And because it ends here, that's going to tell me where to put how tall to make the box. Line it up with your paper and that mark. And now we have a box in 1-point perspective. I'm going to get rid of this so it's not confusing. You can even get rid of your other converging lines so we don't get confused by those when we draw something else on the page. Now we're going to do this horizontal box. So we'll start with putting our pencil on the vanishing point, line it up to the top corner of this box. Line it up to the top left corner of the box and line it up to the bottom corner. Now this one will look very skinny because it's very close to that center point. I'm going to end the box here because this is the back wall and this is the floor. So I will make it go up from there. It's almost straight up already, but I will go ahead and establish that line. When it crosses the converging lines, that's how tall it will be back here. And then I'll put it on this side of the paper, line it up to where those cross. And now I have a second box in 1-point perspective. You can get rid of your converging lines so that they are not confusing. And we have 2 boxes in 1-point perspective.